Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. My name's Matt Miller. I am a teacher, blogger, and the author of Ditch That Textbook. And we're going to talk about how to use Google Slides. We're using Google Apps, specifically Google Slides, to do really easy animation. So if you've ever seen those little flip books, sort of like the stop motion animation books where you flip through and all the characters move, it's actually really easy to do. You can do it just using Google Slides, and really just about anybody in any age level can do it, to create these real simple animations using Google Slides. And so let me show you an example of kind of how it could look, and then we'll see how we can do it. All right, so basically all they're doing, this is like the really old Google Slides. This is back when it was still called Google Docs. And basically what they do is they set up their slides, and then they're gonna make a duplicate of the original slide and then just change a little something to it. So they're gonna be all of these slides, and they're gonna flip through them really fast and make it look like animation. This one's kind of amazing. There, it's 450 pages. Sounds like a lot, but it's really easy to do. And now they're just going to start flipping through the slides really fast. And this is something your kids can totally do. This is really easy to do. So this is all just done using Google Slides. Isn't that amazing? All right. No animation software, no high-tech hardware, nothing but Google Docs. That's really all that it. Oh. That obviously was a pretty fancy one. That was created by like professional, professional designers or whatever. But students could totally do this too. And so if you want to do this from scratch, here's what it looks like. Here's a blank Google presentation or Google Slides presentation. And so let's make a square. We're going to do this real simple. So we're going to make let's get rid of all of that stuff. So here's our square. So let's make this square rotate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click right here and choose duplicate slide. And so now I have a duplicate slide of what I had before. So now all I have to do is take that square and just change it a little bit. I'm going to make this square kind of like do a somersault, like rotate. So I duplicate the slide again, rotate, duplicate the slide again, rotate, and we'll do one more. Duplicate the slide again and rotate. And so now when you present it, watch this. Now it actually kind of looks like the thing's rotating, right? So that's just a real quick 5-slide example, and I did that in the span of what, 30 seconds, something like that. And so if you were a student in a class, you could put 2 characters here. They could have a conversation. Or if you wanted to talk about the Battle of Gettysburg, you can have all of the troops stationed in all the different places, and you can show how they moved against each other in certain battles. Or we saw a really great example from science. You could also use this in math. You could set up an equation. Let's say we're balancing an equation, like an algebra problem. And so we've got this equals this. And if we've got to move things to different sides, or if we've got to reduce, you can actually have the numbers kind of like go off the screen or move around to where they need to go. And so the applications of this, there's just so many different things that you can do with it. So using Google Slides to do animation is really pretty easy, and it can be really cool. Students can create some really neat things, and so I want to show you an example real quick. This is an example from an actual science class from the Philadelphia area. The teacher's name's Chris Baker, and what his students did was they did a recreation of what the sodium-potassium pump would look like. It's part of muscle contraction. And so what they did was they built this scene. This is kind of like a replica of what the sodium-potassium pump might look like. And each one of these dots and each one of these shapes is a different part of that process. And so let me show you how their animation looks, and then we'll take a look at how you can do it, because the way to do this is it's actually really easy. So let's flip through this really quick so you can see the arrow moving. Kind of amazing, isn't it? So you can see all these different parts that are moving through, and it takes this really abstract concept and it makes it something that you can actually sort of understand. You can visualize it at least, and that's the end of it. And so that looks really complicated, but it's really not that tough. So let me show you the guts of this one real quick, and I'll show you how you can create it. So basically, let's go back up to the top of the screen here. Here's the first scene of that animation. And all this is just shapes and lines and text boxes. So all these little circles came from the shapes button. Each one of these are all lines. And then we've got some text boxes here. So they built the whole thing out of those real simple elements. Once this is built, that's all the heavy lifting. That's the hardest part. And so once you've got this first slide built, here's all you got to do to make it animated. Is you come over here to this little thumbnail, and you right click. If you're a Windows user, you right click. If you're a Mac user, it's a control click. If you're a Chromebook user, it's a 2-finger tap. And so you do that, and you select duplicate slide. When you duplicate slide, it gives you another slide, and then you can take something and move. So in this case, they duplicated the slide, and they moved this arrow. So you can see on this one, the arrow's there, and then on the next one, the arrow moves just a little bit. It's because they duplicated it and then they moved the arrow. And then they duplicated and they moved the arrow, and they duplicated and they moved the arrow. That's all that you got to do. And so once you hit present, all you do is you just flip through those slides really fast. Click, 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 click. You can use the space bar to flip through. You could use the down key. I can't hit it fast enough with the down key to make it go at a good speed. So I use the down key and the right key, and I just do that. I just click through with that really fast, and that flips through to all the different slides.